When did your teacher ask the class an impossible question? Script. Ms. Calder handed out the exams face down like she always did and told us we had the full period. One question, she said. Good luck. I flipped mine over and there was a single line printed in the middle of the page. Which word in the English language is always spelled incorrectly? That was it. No multiple choice, no word bank, no second question. Just that one impossible sentence sitting in the middle of an otherwise empty sheet. I read it 4 times. Around me, I could hear the same confused silence. 20-something people all realizing at once that they had no idea. Is this a trick? Someone in the front whispered. No talking, Ms. Calder said, without looking up from her desk. A guy named Ruben raised his hand and asked if there was a typo, if maybe a page was missing. She just smiled and said, the page is complete. That smile made it worse. She knew something we didn't, and she was enjoying it. Somebody guessed out loud anyway. A kid named Tobin blurted, is it a made-up word? Like a word that doesn't actually exist. Ms. Calder said that was a creative wrong answer and he could sit back down. That set people off even more, because now we knew for sure there was a right answer, which somehow made not having it worse. If the question were truly unanswerable, we could all fail together with our dignity intact. But she was telling us it had a solution, that it was sitting right in front of us, and not one of us could see it. I raised my hand next. Ms. Calder, this genuinely can't be answered. Every word can be spelled correctly. That's what spelling is. She folded her hands and said, then I suppose you'll leave it blank. A girl named Odette stood up and announced she wasn't going to sit there and fail a riddle, and she'd rather take the 0. A couple of people clapped. For about 10 minutes, the whole room basically staged a rebellion. Pencils down, arms crossed, somebody in the back declaring the entire test unfair and probably illegal. Ruben started a whisper campaign about petitioning the principal. Odette was doing frantic math on how much one blank question could tank her grade. 2 kids in the corner had fully checked out and were just drawing on their exams. And through all of it, Ms. Calder never raised her voice once, never threatened anyone, never told us to settle down. She just watched us flail like she'd seen this exact meltdown 100 times before, which I realized later she absolutely had. Ms. Calder let us have it. She just sat there, calm as anything, letting the clock run. Then she stood up and said she'd give us one hint, since we were clearly about to unionize. Everyone grabbed their pencils. She walked to the board, and instead of writing anything, she pointed at the exam and said, stop trying to think of a different word. The answer is already in the question. You've been staring right at it the whole time. Silence. Then, one by one, you could actually watch it happen. This little chain reaction of faces changing across the room as people got it. The word was incorrectly. Which word is always spelled incorrectly? The word incorrectly. It's the only word that is, by definition, spelled incorrectly, incorrectly, every single time you write it. The answer had been printed on the page since the second she handed it out. Odette, who'd given her whole speech about taking the 0, slowly sat back down and picked up her pencil. Ruben put his head on the desk and laughed. I wrote the answer, one single word, on an otherwise completely blank page, and walked it up to her desk. Ms. Calder took my paper, glanced at it, and said, see, impossible questions usually aren't. She told us afterward that she gave that same exam every single year, that the point was never the word. It was watching a whole room of people insist something was impossible, while the answer sat in plain sight the entire time. Half the class stayed mad about it for a week. The other half, me included, couldn't stop bringing it up, testing it on our parents, our friends, anyone who'd hold still, just to watch the exact moment their face changed the same way ours had. I still think about that test more than anything else she taught me that year.